Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So this is a different background. If you guys hear any hissing sounds, Ava is sleeping and I'm trying to not talk as loud. But anyway, this is another sit down video, something I just randomly thought of doing since yesterday. So you guys know from my vlogs, I went to the library in how many years? Since 2011. So we were there for like 3 hours walking around, looking at things, and they had like a little mini art gallery museum. They had a very nice kids section and an adult area, you know, like nonfiction books, um, just everything. It was just so beautiful. They did a lot of renovations. I think it was finished like last year or something, and I just never thought about going because it's in downtown Columbus. And her dad mentioned since we were like both broke and it's free and it's educational, why not take Ava? And she had so much fun. Very big place, beautiful seats, and oh, I can't wait to go back there. But anyway, I got 2 books and a bunch for Ava, and her dad also got a book, which I might try to read and talk about too. So anyway, I read this book. I finished in one day. I read from around 8 or 7:30 and finished around 1 o'clock or 1:30. Like I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop. Um, I just sat and read, and my parents came home. I was still reading. So let me tell you what book it is. Okay, so the book that I want to show you is called The Girl Behind the Door. This right here. And it's written by John Brooks. It is based on a true story. It's very touching and sad. And it just made me think a lot last night. In front of the book, it says, a father's quest to understand his daughter's suicide. It's not what you think as you start reading it. And I think I was meant to read this book. I just randomly picked one book and I realized it was too like religious, I guess. So I put that book away, and then I went to the second floor and looked for Nicholas Sparks books, and then I think around there, this book just caught my eye. I think it was under workers' favorite books or something. I can't remember, but I picked it up, saw the word suicide, and I'm like, interesting. Like just a lot of things like that goes around. You hear the news on YouTube or whatever, and I'm like, I should read this. So as I started reading the book, I realized that it took place in the Bay Area, San Francisco, in Marin County, I believe, and I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm like, whoa. So yeah, it's written by a dad. It initially starts with, you already know what happened. They adopted a girl from Poland, and I'm not sure or remember the name of the city. You're gonna have to read that, but it's in Poland, and the girl was an orphanage. She was adopted at 14 months, I believe, and because her parents couldn't conceive the child, and this is what they turned to, and so it basically starts off already with, you know what happened. She jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, which you hear a lot about. It's one of the top places where people have done such a thing. She was only 17. Her name was Casey. Yeah. So as her dad could remember, since she was a kid all the way to her teenage years, she was already showing signs of, I guess, being rebellious, getting antsy, getting mad, just having tantrums. And as she got older, it just got worse and worse, from doing drugs here and there, from cutting herself. Her behavior was just, I guess, your typical rebellious teen, but then 10 times worse. And, you know, her parents did their best trying to talk to her, you know, try to meet in the middle with her, but she was just mad and angry and just wanted to be alone, didn't want to deal with her parents, argued a lot, you know, slammed the door, just a lot of arguments with her parents, and they did their best, I guess, and oh, this is hard. I'm trying not to cry, and I'm trying not to be too sad. Um, so when she passed away, her dad, you know, wanted to understand what could have been done, what did they miss, how could they not see and understand, or what could have prevent this situation. Phone call. Okay, where was I? So when she passed away, her dad, the author, John Brooks, wanted to understand what went wrong, what did they miss, how did they fail as parents, or what could have prevented this from happening. They thought they did what they can. They sent her to therapy numerous times. They met in between with her, you know, doing the drugs that they knew about, her cutting herself, her drinking, having alcohol in the room, and they argued about it, and they even let her decide on who to see after she decided not to go see someone else, the therapist. And she was just like, one day she seems okay, another day she was just mad, another day she didn't want anything to do with the therapist and nothing to do with her parents. It was just like constant arguments, constant yelling, and there were good moments. They did a lot of things together. Like, these are just, you know, your normal American wonderful family that wanted to do the best for a child. Something that my parents did for me growing up. So, like, he started researching about, I guess, adoption, more history about where she was adopted in Poland, some of the, like, I guess, side effects that can happen to a child that has been abandoned at an orphanage in Poland. And it turns out that during the time that she was adopted in the 80s, there were a lot of common effects after that, from having rage, you know, attitude, just no emotions, trusting people, and just a lot of, like, anger and emotional distraught behaviors. I could name so many. But it turns out that it's something called an attachment disorder, or RAD. I might not be explaining correctly, don't quote me, but something along those lines. So basically, I guess, and it something like this, something traumatizing like this, when you're adopted, not everybody goes through this. Some people come out okay, never had any issues, anger issues, behavioral issues, just anything like that, just come out normal and fine, you know, and just live their life from child to adulthood. They were saying something that the most important time is when, pretty much when the child is born, the attachment that they have with their mother. In this case, Casey didn't. She actually had a twin that did not make it, and she was pretty much signed off and given away by her mom. I couldn't really understand, like, why she didn't want to keep, like, the Casey's real biological mom. Her grandmother said she should give her away for adoption, and her father didn't really know nothing about him or what happened. But she was in an orphanage, and she was adopted at 14 months. So basically, she was detached from her biological mom and in the hands of strangers, like the caretaker at the orphanage, and then it'll be like a different person taking care of her and yada yada yada. And then like at 14 months, a new couple, strangers again, took her. So it was something that the child had to get to know and develop. But she became like your normal typical American kid. But there were times, I know I'm all over the place, there were times that her dad tried to ask her if she ever wanted to seek her real mom or wonder or have any questions. She'll just ignore it and not want to talk about it. Like, never ever. She just did her own thing, never cared about her Polish background, anything like that. So yeah, I think that's all I can tell you. You have to read it. It's really interesting. It's not boring. I was so into it. I did not cry, but it just touched my heart because I'm adopted, and I found out at an early age, even though I wasn't in the same situation as Casey, I do feel a sense of never belonging to anyone, even though my adoptive parents gave me the best love as they could. When there were times when I would rebel against them and there were things that I did not agree on, I did the same thing. I argued. I have slammed doors on my parents. Even as an adult, I have slammed doors and talked back. And when parents get mad, they would say hurtful things, and my mom has said very hurtful things to me. And those negative words has brought me to tears and brought me to a place, and it reminded me of how I was abandoned by my mom, and it hurts really bad, and I get really angry, I get frustrated, I want to like die at that moment thinking about it, but just never to the point of just everything that has happened to me to go that route of, killing myself. So I'm glad I read that book. It made me think a lot. It made me be aware of your surroundings, and to understand, and also people that are thinking about adoption. It's of course, it's good and bad. I think this book may help someone who has no idea what they're in for. Like, get the basic idea. Yeah, you go through a lot of paperwork, whether it's from out of the country or state-wise. The kid is so blessed to have someone that wants them, but also to have in mind that the kid might have an attachment disorders, and these are the signs that you can look for. At the time, he didn't know, and even the therapist that Casey saw only treated what they think was best, but they didn't realize that that's what she had at the time. And maybe if they knew, they could have prevented from this happening. Yeah, it just brought a lot of emotions in my head. It was a sad ending knowing that, she did not live, but everything does happen for a reason, and it made her dad research and understand. I think that made him come at ease with her death as the years go by, and fully understand, and now that it's his duty to, he was meant to write this book to let others and future people know the risks and behaviors to expect a child who has been abandoned, and to be prepared for. And instead of just lashing out at your child for doing what they were doing and things that you don't agree, I guess he said something like, instead of like giving those boundaries, or just walk away after, you know, fights and arguments, when your child says leave me alone or F off or I hate you. Instead of walking away, maybe that was his or Casey's sign of saying, just because I told you to F off, it doesn't mean I told you to F off. You need to stay here with me. You need to hold me. You need to just don't move and let me know that I am loved, because my real parents left me, and I want to know for sure that you do love me. Even though you love me, I need you to stay. But, you know, that's not what they did. You know, they did all they can, and when it was too much, they had to get away. They had to leave her alone. But deep down inside, she probably just wanted love, and she didn't see it. She didn't feel like it was enough, despite everything that her parents did. That was my input. I think there's more that I could talk about, but it's gonna be a really long video. But I was trying not to like say too much, but you guys have an idea of what this book is about. Get it from the library. I've never heard about this book before, but it just caught my eye because, you know, suicide is something that a lot of people say bad things about or look down upon, and it's around us. Somebody knows somebody, on TV, on the news. It's everywhere, and it needs to be talked about. It needs to be something normal that you talk about with your kids, especially the next generation. So yeah, it is called The Girl Behind the Door, John Brooks. Let me know if you guys want to know about my adoption story. I'll do another video. And yeah, so get this book, you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.